Hello and welcome back to Continental Club. Yes, it is not a mirage. We are back in the East Dulwich Tavern after about a month because of COVID. Henry went on holiday. I think it was closed one week. But anyway, we are back and I'm joined by Michael McCubbin and Henry Hill. Good to have you back, lads. Henry, you are fresh from holiday, looking actually pretty rosy. You feeling good?
I don't feel like I look pretty rosy right now. I look pretty rugged, if anything. No, good. Nice to get away. A bit weird being on holiday last week. Haven't really found it. Wasn't that easy to switch off of everything going on. Felt a bit guilty about all of that. So yeah, that's obviously been forefront of my mind. But Bulgaria, lovely country. Went in just looking for a nice holiday and found a very lovely country to go to. So yeah, very happy with that. Yeah, good to be back with you two.
Nice. Went in looking for a holiday, came out having fallen in love with Bulgaria.
Yeah,
definitely Bulgaria. The Cubs, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad. I think there was a holiday romance. Something from us. Yeah, I'm not too bad, thanks. Yeah, like Henry, it's been a strange week, hasn't it? It's hard to not kind of try and keep up to date with everything that's going on. Obviously, thoughts go out to everyone who's in Ukraine or trying to get out of Ukraine, or so that's obviously quite tough. Looking at all that, but otherwise, yeah, all right, not too bad.
Yeah, no, well said. I think as a European football show, it's definitely worth saying our solidarity and thoughts are with the people of Ukraine after the horrendous invasion by Vladimir Putin's Russia. But let's crack on with today's show. So after last week, we got on Sam Tighe in Henry's absence, and he was a bit annoyed. Well, he wasn't annoyed, he was just sort of joking around that he was brought on for the disappointment episode, the negative episode. This week, we want to put a far more positive spin on all things European football so far this season. So we're going to be talking about the most improved player in Europe this season. And the first suggestion comes in from @UnderExitLight, and it's Vinicius Jr. McCubbin, he has been just out of this world this season. And what a development after the previous 3 years where there was rightfully some question marks over him.
Yeah, I mean, his kind of development or kind of lack thereof in his first 2 years at Real Madrid was seen as quite a big problem because it kind of meant that Real were increasingly reliant on an ageing Karim Benzema, who is still doing his stuff this season, to be fair, but yeah, it was seen as a bit of a problem, and the failure of Eden Hazard, especially in terms of his injuries and everything, kind of meant that there was a lot of pressure on Vinicius to really perform. And when you have that kind of pressure on a 19, 20-year-old at one of the biggest clubs in the world, it can go one or two ways, can't it? And the fact that Real had kind of held off on spending because of saving up essentially for the kind of Kylian Mbappe move, etc. Kind of left the club in a bit of a weird place in terms of their attack because they just weren't really good enough going forward as a team as a whole. And actually this season, you could kind of say the same thing. They haven't really improved that much under Ancelotti in terms of how they operate going forward. But it just so happens that not only Karim Benzema is on fire, but Vinicius Jr has just taken a huge step up and is just one of the best wide attackers in the world now. I mean, 42% of his total goal output, goal and assist output that is, has come in the last 35 games for Real Madrid. So pretty much, basically everything, pretty much everything he's done well has been this season, or at least he's been there for. He's been there 4 years now, so he's done as much in this last kind of 9 months as he had done in the previous 3 years. And obviously he's playing a lot more game time now, more consistently. But yeah, it just shows a player who is full of confidence, physically is really up to the task now. You could argue he kind of was before because of his dribbling ability was always there. But yeah, I think his eye for goal in particular is just so much better. When he enters the box now, he looks like someone who is always going to make the last kind of two decisions that you need to make before shooting. He's kind of doing that now, whereas before there were a lot of question marks about that. Once he got into the box, often he would maybe make the wrong pass or choose the wrong spot to aim for. But now he's basically doing getting all of that spot on every time. So I think he's solved a massive headache for Real Madrid now, and now they have an attack which is quite well placed to just have one more element put in it, and I think it will really come alive in years to come.
Yeah, it's super exciting. And if they make some adjustments, maybe at right back this summer, we've talked about centre back depth as well, maybe a right winger moving forward, maybe an extra midfielder. This is a very, very complete squad, and it's moving towards, somewhere back to it. It's sort of Zidane pomp, but it's Vinicius Jr, I agree with you. His finishing, his decision making in the box as well. I don't know whether you guys saw their goal against Rayo Vallecano at the weekend, where he just sort of exchanges passes, and then just as you think he's going to shoot, he perfectly realises that Benzema's coming through on his left-hand side, tucks it across to him, and Benzema finishes. And it's just sort of emblematic of Vinicius Jr.'s just all-round sort of awareness in the box, not even just his shooting, it's just got so much better. So I think Vinicius Jr. probably is the correct shout for most improved this season. Henry, let's move on to another one in Rafa Leão. This comes in from @MUFCMAT_. He has been also, like Vinicius Jr., maybe not quite so spectacular in his numbers, but his performance level has definitely taken a massive step up.
Yeah, completely agree. I don't think it's been quite as necessary for him to hit the heights as Vinicius, and I don't think the expectation was that he should have been hitting the heights as Vinicius right now, but completely agree. 11 goals and 6 assists in 30 games is commendable. And he's not an out-and-out forward by any means either, but similar to what I was saying, Milan have had slight issues up front too. Zlatan's only been fit to play 15 league games, talking of getting another year's contract with the Rossoneri, which is an interesting move. And he still contributed 10 goals in that time, must be said, pretty impressive. But yeah, it's been left to kind of Leao and Giroud to pick up the pieces. Ante Rebic has been a bit quiet this season, actually. I really like Rebic as a player. I think he's been super impressive over the past few seasons, and I prefer him to sort of Salamakas, although slightly different players. But he's been a bit quiet this season, and therefore it's fallen on Leao to make up the ground there. And 3.2 shots, that's up from 2 last season, 1.2 key passes. About the same as last year, but 3.4 dribbles. These are the kind of numbers that show this is someone who's just really confident at the top of his game. And I watched him against, I think it was Sampdoria a few weekends ago, a 2-0 victory. He was just electric. He was just absolutely dominating defenders. He's got that physique and power at the same time, which makes, and the skill set to go with it, that makes him quite sort of, when he's bearing down on you, I think he's quite an intimidating figure. And yeah, he just seems to be maturing all the time. I mean, there's talk at the moment that City are maybe looking at him.
Really?
Because his contract, I think, he's not a huge earner. I mean, AC Milan seem to have this problem, quite a lot of their players, is that they're on sort of solid but not spectacular wages, and it gets to the point of renewal where they've really got to sort of decide what they're going to do with these guys. Are they going to sort of really throw their money behind them or look to sort of build from the next wave? I really think Leao, I mean, his contract's fine. I think he's running till 2024 at the moment, but there's certainly, he looks like he could be the future of this Rossoneri side, certainly in the forward line. He's featuring a lot for the Portuguese side as well at the moment, I think really breaking into that team there. So just another example of some amazing Portuguese talent they've got running through that squad. Also shout out to Tonali, he's stepped up, had a bit of a disappointing first campaign. Milan very cleverly seems to renegotiate the amount of money they paid for him out of Brescia, didn't they? And then and he looks at the part this year, and certainly with Kessie looking like he's going to be on the move, Tonali is going to be even more important in the coming few years, and obviously they've had a few players missing in the middle. So yeah, shout out to Tonali as well. But yeah, Rafa Leão, he's one of my favourite players at the moment in Europe. I just think he's so exciting every time he gets on the ball, and I'm really pleased for him to see the way that he's risen. And because we were thinking about it for Real Madrid, when I was going to suggest him last week, but I guess Vinicius also plays on the left side. So these are two of the most exciting left-sided sort of young attackers we've got out there at the moment. So yeah, it's great to see.
Yeah, definitely. I think. Yeah, the Tonali points are one sort of well made. The Kessie move I find quite bizarre that he's potentially linked with Barcelona. I just don't think they really need him. And I don't see when he really brings that Barcelona midfield that they don't really already have. Like, I'd go for more of an out-and-out DM to replace Busquets going forward. I don't fully get that. I mean, do you guys have any clarification on that? Further thoughts?
I mean, he's free, isn't he? That's the thing.
That is a free, I suppose.
And again, like, he's probably not on the biggest wages at Milan. I mean, they recently, well, not recently, last summer they extended Teo Hernandez's contract, and that was pretty low, and now I think he's earning something like 86k a week, and he's one of their, among their top earners. But I think Kessie earns less than that, so Barca would be able to probably negotiate a fairly decent contract by their standards at least.
Yeah.
So I could kind of see it, but equally I think they've just got so many midfielders already. I don't see quite where he breaks into that team. If Busquets is keeping out Frenkie de Jong from that kind of all-round DM position, then yeah, it's hard to see Kessie being able to budge him at this point.
I saw it seemed to imply that about 6.5 million euros per year. That's what Barcelona are offering him at the moment. I think that's a big leap on what he was being offered. by AC. And yeah, I mean, I think it really spells the end for Frenkie de Jong at Barcelona. I think he's one of the players that really does still have a value in the market. He's a good age, and I think unfairly treated so far. I think that they will probably look to sell him, and because if they can get a monster wedge for de Jong and then bring in Kessie, then people would say, that's probably decent business by Barcelona standards.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember. What was De Jong's fee in the end? Was it about 70 mil?
Yeah,
so if they recoup that, it's not the worst bit of business because he's done, what, two years of pretty good service, 3 years?
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel a bit sorry for Frenkie de Jong if he gets moved on for Kessie, but maybe that's just how they need to remove their funds around if they want to strengthen their back line as well. Let's move on to SP series of numbers suggestion, Christopher Nkunku. Again, real leap forward this year. He has played in a much more central position, so I think that's really helped him because previously he was mainly sticking to the left-hand side, but now he's played as a number 10. He's led the line as well. But 25 goals and 13 assists in 36 games. So over a goal contribution per game, which is absolutely mental. His goals and assists minus penalty kicks per 90 ratio, so goals and assists and then take away all penalties from that, obviously, is the 8th best in Europe. I think that's just behind Kylian Mbappe. So really, really impressive numbers. And considering that Leipzig were really quite poor at the start of the year under Jesse Marsch, and his form was really solid during that period, it's maintained or maybe even slightly improved under Domenico Tedesco as well. I think Nkunku deserves enormous amounts of credit. And I think physically, whereas you look at someone like Moussa Diaby at Bayer Leverkusen, who also has had a phenomenal year, but physically Nkunku just looks that, I think he is a year or two older. He just looks a bit older, looks a bit more ready for a move to the Premier League if that was to happen. I think Leipzig will fight tooth and nail to keep him. There's again talk about Man City going in for him as well, numerous other clubs. But I think Nkunku has been frighteningly good this year and just really, really efficient in front of goal as well. Because his shot numbers aren't massive, just 2.6 per 90, 2.2 key passes. Neither are phenomenal, but he's so efficient right now. And it's just really satisfying to see that a player that was jettisoned by PSG in favour of keeping this sort of star-studded roster of forwards that they've got going, and they've probably kept Draxler way too long. And why you'd keep Draxler on your books rather than try and promote Diaby or Nkunku is pretty baffling to me. But yeah, Nkunku's been phenomenal this year, and it's really great to see. Another player we've got to mention in the Bundesliga and the Cubs is Patrik Schick, coming in from Davies SCFC. What a year for him!
Yeah, I mean,
and continuing from a great summer as well with the Euros.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, that halfway line goal against Scotland really,
really kicked
it off. Yeah, we don't have to get onto that debate again. But I think Leverkusen in general, there are a lot of players in that squad, aren't there, that have improved. You mentioned Moussa Diaby, like he's been fantastic, especially of late. He's really grown into the season. I think he's got something like 7 goals in his last 5 games. Scored like that, twice. Scored 2 excellent goals against Arminia at the weekend. He's been really good. Jeremy Frimpong, I know you're a big fan of. Henry, obviously bought from Celtic, and he's been great this year. Really grown into the season. I think he created something like 6 chances on the weekend. He's got like 6 assists this season. So like, that whole team under Seoane seemed to have kind of gone up a level. I know defensively they're a bit suspect, but I think even there they've improved a bit in the last couple of months too, and they look like they've really solidified that 3rd position. I would be surprised if they dropped out of Champions League places now. It would be really disappointing given how exciting they've been this season. Obviously got that big game against Atalanta in the Europa League as well, so that's going to be great. But on to Patrik Schick, I mean this is a striker who's been kind of threatening to kind of fulfill his potential for so many years now. He's 26. I still see him as like a 22-year-old. He's one of those kind of players who's kind of a bit ageless, I guess. Good skin, I guess.
Very good skin.
That's what does it. But
good hair as well, very thick.
Yeah, so
something I always pick up on.
But I mean, 20 league goals to his name already. His previous best was 10 in the 1920 season for Leipzig. He's obviously played at a number of very decent clubs, and it's never quite worked out for him. He only scored 8 in 53 in 3 years. 2 seasons, at Roma. And even at Roma, I feel like his underlying numbers at Roma, from what I remember, were fairly decent, and it just wasn't really coming off for him.
There was a few niggling injuries as well.
Yeah, injuries were never great, and I think Roma at the time Dzeko was the main man, obviously. And Roma have kind of been in a bit of a transitional phase for a number of years, haven't they? And especially 18-19, I feel, really was under Eusebio Di Francesco, if I'm not mistaken. But only Lewandowski scored more goals in Europe's top 5 leagues. Only one of his 20 goals have been penalties. I mean, just everything about his game has really taken off this year. And he does benefit from having someone like Diaby, someone like Wirtz, who's also improving by the day. That whole Bayer Leverkusen front line has just really works for him. I'm really excited to see what happens next, because I feel like this is
Talks for
a striker. I really as like a backup to Jonathan David. That's the thing, because he's not been kind of one of the big names in those kind of rumours, has he? But I think he's just as good as the players that they're targeting right now. So I guess age is the only thing that's maybe counts against him a little bit, because if you give him a 4-year contract, he's 30 by the time that's over, which isn't the worst thing, but compared to 22, 23-year-old strikers, it does put him at a bit of a disadvantage. But I feel like he'll only go from strength to strength from here.
Absolutely, yeah, phenomenal season for him. Henry, we collected a few others from various different suggestions. Who would you like to bring to the table next?
I would like to start with @Luke Lombardi 8 suggestion, Nabil Fekir.
I know you're a big Fekir man.
I'm a big Fekir fan. I never quite understood why he moved to Betis.
It was random.
He was linked with Liverpool, wasn't he?
Well, he had a medical, I think.
Yes, exactly. There was that medical that went wrong, and even then, the move that you're expecting him out of Lyon, is that right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, was not to Betis. The next step. Went there. It's the same with William Carvalho. Everyone was expecting him for ages to go to somewhere else, and then he went to Betis. But fair play to them. Great city. Why not go to Seville? And this season, he's really turned it on, and it's helped Betis massively. I think we'll talk about them a bit later in the big match preview. But 6 goals, 6 assists in 24 league games, 11 in 32 last season. So he's already beaten his overall goal involvements. 2.5 key passes. That's up from 1.5. He looks like he's got the bit between his teeth. We always knew that he was a really talented player. I think he's shown that throughout his time at Betis as well. There's been some really wonderful goals and assists. And he just looks very happy, very comfortable. I mean, they've got William Jose playing up front, who Wolves fans might remember from last season, basically doing nothing. Might try to forget, exactly. But he's been excellent for them as well, and I think they've got Juanmi up top as well. So I'm a massive fan of that Betis side and what they're doing this term, and sort of riding high in the Europa League as well. But the other one, Giovanni Simeone, that's from @R.
Having a better season than his dad.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. I mean, it's weird when you look at his history. It makes no sense that he's even at Hellas Verona, because he's been a goal scorer for a while. But this is 15 goals and 3 assists this season, 24 league games. It seems to be every other weekend he's getting a brace of sorts, isn't he? And they're good goals as well. He's got real variety to his game. This is the 4th time in 5 seasons that he scored at least 12 goals. Twice with Fiorentina, once with Cagliari. I mean, those are really solid numbers. Yeah. Those are really impressive numbers certainly for a side like Hellas Verona, who are the key for a lot of these sort of middling teams is to have that one player that can turn it on, sort of power you through. So the fact that they even picked up Simeone is remarkable. And Verona, they seem to be a bit of a bogey team for sides in Serie A this season. I think they've picked up a lot of points against the big guys. And he's been a huge part of that. I mean, he's overperformed his XG by 7. That's the biggest overperformance in Europe, ahead of Juanmi, who we just mentioned, as it turns out. But that just shows that he's just running hot, playing well. But in fairness, his historic numbers provide the evidence for a player that knows what he's doing in front of goal. So I don't think we necessarily need to read into that too much. He just looks like a very solid player. So I'm really pleased for him. Yeah,
and nice for him to, as you say, be the sort of main man at Hellas Verona, having been loaned out by Cagliari sort of inexplicably. And at Fiorentina, it never felt like he was really the main man there either, but always had very solid numbers. I think at Cagliari's with João Pedro, and they formed a nice little partnership at one stage, I seem to remember. Fekir and Simeone, 2 good shouts. Another one, Remco Pasveer. This was suggested by Eredivisie_Indo. And I'm going to be honest, having not, I don't follow the Eredivisie extensively aside from PSV and Ajax, and even then I don't really follow them extensively. So I wasn't really aware of Pasveer prior to this year, but he's a bit of a Eredivisie sort of legend. He's been playing since 2003-04 there. He's played for Twente, Heracles, PSV I think as well. Signed for Ajax on a free in the summer. He's really old. He's 38. And he's been absolutely unreal for Ajax this year. So get this, he's kept 17 clean sheets in 20 league games that he's played. He's got a save percentage of over 90%. This is like Jan Oblak last year. And yes, Ajax are a phenomenal team, an incredibly well-coached team that probably concede relatively few shots from very good areas, but still 90%, that's almost unheard of. So massive shout out to the granddad of Eredivisie goalkeepers, Remco Pasveer. McCubs, maybe a quick one to mention, Darwin Núñez or Amin Gouiri, like they've had 2 great years.
They've both been great. I mean, Amin Gouiri had a great last season. After
really improved.
I mean, he was he was signed from Lyon, wasn't he, for fairly cheap in the summer of 2020, and he's just carried on where he left off. Really, 46% of Nice's league goals he's been involved in. So yeah, I mean, he's the kind of perfect kind of player for someone like Galtier to take on, right? Because he's so focused on kind of getting the structure of the team right, and sometimes you just need someone who can constantly produce magic in the final third. When perhaps
Yilmaz last
exactly. So like, I mean, I might be a little bit unfair in saying that because I haven't watched loads of Nice this year. Maybe Nice are a bit more of a well-rounded attacking unit, but considering he's contributed so much of their goals, suggests that he's very much kind of get the ball to Gouiri. So yeah,
did you see
great.
his assists?
Yeah, it's amazing.
On Twitter.
I haven't actually.
Oh my goodness.
Some of the skill.
Yeah, it's all over Twitter this week. Check it out when you get home. It is a really nice skill move, and then he just lays it on a plate for Kasper Dolberg, I think is coming in. It's very nice.
But yeah, just a great all-round attacker, and he's only 22 as well. Like I don't know, when you have a player who's already taking on that much responsibility at that age, it's quite a rare thing, I think. So yeah, he's been great. Darwin Núñez as well, I think, been great, and particularly in European competition. He scored crucial goals for Benfica in the Champions League group stage. But yeah, Remco Pasveer is a great shout, I think, because yeah, like Andre Onana being kind of banned, like that was potentially quite catastrophic. But Pasveer coming in, and I think he was actually signed mainly because how good with the ball at his feet he is. And I think Ten Hag when he first played for Twente, Ten Hag was actually coaching there as well. So it's not the first time that they would have come across each other. Although I don't know how involved they were together then, because I think Ten Hag was coaching.
A good 15 years later or so.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's quite like it's quite nice in that sense. So yeah, and I guess one of the players in that setup who's kind of closer to Ten Hag's age.
Yeah.
But yeah, lots of good suggestions here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's some really good ones. Henry, did you have something?
I just love it when like an old keeper comes and gets signed up. I remember like when Brad Friedel was keeping Lurie out when they first signed him. I was just thinking about when Schwarzer first came to Fulham, everyone thought he was finished. Yeah. I think those stories are some of the best that you can get in football.
Well, what's mad about this is that this is by far the biggest club he's ever played for as well, and it's happened at this point in his like it's just
it's also
very,
bit
very
part. I was looking at his Wikipedia earlier. Bit part for most of his career until he went to like I think from like 2013-14 he's become more of a regular, but that was when he was like 30. So yeah, just an incredible turnaround from Pasveer. One of the most improved players this season. But who is your most improved player this season? Let us know in the comments down below. And let's move on to our big match predictions. So big match predictions, we are back. The official league is back. We had Sam stepping in last week, so I will tell you about those scores, but they don't count towards our overall league table. So we all backed Bayern to beat Eintracht Frankfurt last week, but it was just 1-0, so we all got that wrong. Well, the actual result wrong, but still 1 point for each of us. I backed Napoli to beat Lazio, Sam backed Lazio, McCubs went for a draw, so I get 1 point there. Barcelona and Athletic Club, you two backed Barcelona. I actually went for a draw. But no one saw the 4-0 coming. Barcelona on fire in front of goal at the moment. So 1 point to each of you there. So we all finished with 2 points. So a nice healthy draw. But see you later, Sam. Henry is back, our leader as well. He's on 28 points. I'm on 27. The Cubs is on 17. And guys, we've got, 12, 13 games left of the season. So it's potentially getting quite tight. We need to start upping our game. A few perfect scores coming in could turn it around very quickly. But let's start with Bayern Munich versus Bayern Leverkusen. What a game to kick off with. This should be very entertaining. Saturday, 2:30. It's first versus third. There's 14 points between them. As we know, Bayern are likely going to win the title now. They're 8 points clear. Probably seems like Bayern Leverkusen have sewn up third place as well. But I think this will just be a great game for the neutral in particular. Henry, what do you make about this fixture? What are you thinking?
I'm really excited for this game. I really am. I think this is it could be everything that's great about the Bundesliga. Lots of goals, slightly dodgy defending. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I mean, Bayern, I just can't get my head around them. I don't quite know.
They've had a little dip, I think.
What's going on at the moment? I mean, in 2022, played 8, won 5, drawn 1 and lost 2, scored 20, conceded 11. On the face of it, that sounds all right. But I mean, even losing twice in 8 games for Bayern is a significant blunder, quite frankly. We've seen them getting beaten by Gladbach. Bochum completely overran them at certain points, drew against Salzburg in the Champions League. It's just for the fact that Dortmund can't quite seem to string together two
4 wins in a row.
Yeah, I mean, it's still got an 8-point gap, so they're going to win this season. But I don't think it's
a vintage one.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a vintage campaign at all. Missing quite a few players for this game too. Goretzka, Tolisso, Alphonso Davies, and Neuer's still out. I think that was a really big loss at the back. Luca Hernandez is suspended too. So yeah, I really rate this Leverkusen side. Maybe this is where we have to start getting bold.
I'm thinking it as well.
Really?
I'm thinking about it.
The only thing is at home. I want to say 2-2 again, but I'm not going to say 2-2 again.
Go for it. Follow your gut.
All right, this is it. I've put 2-2 down for about 5 times and it's not come in. This is the week for 2-2.
Okay,
it's happening.
this is your official 2-2.
Yeah.
I mean, McCubs, it does
2-2.
feel like this is a great time to play Bayern.
Yeah.
But especially with Leverkusen's form. But it is Bayern Leverkusen, and Bayern have such a dominant record against them.
Yeah, I mean, they've won 5 straight games and scored 17.
Brilliant.
Did they win 5-0 earlier this year, was it? Or 5-1?
Yeah,
they
it was
did.
quite brutal.
That was when everyone thought that they were doing really badly, and then
Yeah.
they went there and absolutely destroyed
Also,
it.
can I clarify? I said it wasn't a vintage season for Bayern. I still think they've scored a phenomenal amount of goals,
Yeah.
but I think most Bayern fans probably wouldn't be like, we haven't done anything that impressive yet.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, but they were the best team in Europe in the first half of the season, weren't they? Really.
It's just in 2022,
It's
maybe.
just that, it's just they've dipped a bit, and obviously injuries have been a bit of an issue, and and especially like I guess that first leg of the Champions League as well, and they will be preparing for Salzburg, I guess next Wednesday, so they'll have one eye on that, I think, especially with their league position being so secure. I do feel like, I feel like Leverkusen could do something in this game. The only problem is Schick's out with an injury, so that's a bit of an issue for them. But equally, like, they didn't need him, especially against Armenia.
Lucas Leao got a goal, yeah.
So like, they looked really, really good. Obviously, Moussa Diop, like we said, was excellent in that game, and he's just been in excellent form this season. Got a goal or assist pretty much every game. I'm going to go 3-3. I'm going to go 3-3.
Wow.
I do remember,
Okay.
I think I think, to be fair to us, that last time they played each other, I think we were pretty concerned with Leverkusen's defence even then, and I think we got it pretty spot on. I think I can see it being fairly similar this time, but the difference being that Bayern at the back have kind of reverted a little bit to what they were a bit like last season, haven't they? And they don't have Neuer to sweep things up, which is something we kind of touched on a little bit last week. So I think it's going to be high scoring.
Nice. Henry looks like he's going to make an amendment to his.
No,
You're going to go 4-4 now.
I see your 3-3. Yeah. No, I think for bravery, if that comes off, you should get a bonus point.
Okay,
I
we'll
think
agree it now. That'll be 4 points if it comes off.
any audacious like 5 goal or more predictions, I think.
Okay, that's a good shout actually.
Yeah.
If you predict more than 5 goals in the game, you get an extra point. If it comes off, you get an extra point. I'm not going to be as interesting though, I'm afraid, guys. I'm going to snap back down to earth. I just can never back Leverkusen against Bayern. I thought this for years. Like, I think particularly last year, was it? They were top of the table, I think, and then they played Bayern, and then Jonathan Tah gave away a goal. I think Brodetsky gave away a goal. They got battered earlier this year. They are Bayern Leverkusen even, for a reason. And I'm just going to back Bayern in this game. I think it's going to be 2-1 to Bayern. I'm sorry, guys. Very boring. But I've got to get those points. I've got to get those points. Let's move on to the second match. I'm getting super competitive. It's like my Stat Wars side coming out again. We are moving on to Milan versus Napoli, Sunday, 7:45 p.m. It is first versus second. If you thought Bayern Leverkusen was a big game, these guys are tied. Napoli are ahead on goal difference, 30 versus 24 on goal difference. Huge game. I mean, McCubs, where do you want to start with this?
It's the biggest game of the Serie A season, isn't it, so far? And especially after Milan drew on the weekend. I mean, they're not in the best form anyway, are they? They're not in Inter kind of form, but they're not in amazing form. They've won 4 of their last 8 league games. Obviously, drew their last 2. That's kind of let Napoli back in. It's kind of kept Inter in there as well. I'm still hanging on to Inter winning it eventually, but yeah, Napoli have really come alive recently. They weren't even the better side against Lazio last weekend, but the 2 goals they scored were just so good that they kind of deserved to win it from there. And that spirit that they had to go, you know what I mean, in the last 30 seconds to stick to their kind of game plan and play some, just play some nice football. And at the end of it, Fabian Ruiz with one of the goals of the season.
It was lovely.
Yeah, I just feel like the momentum is slightly with Napoli at the moment, especially after the disappointment of going out of the Europa to Barcelona. They don't really have anything else to play for.
Yeah.
I think Napoli are going to do it in this game. I just think they're going to do it. I think it's going to be like 2-1 to Napoli.
2-1.
Yeah.
I remember on ERU though, for that script, we were looking at Napoli's fixtures towards the end of the year, and they don't have any other competitions, but they are really difficult.
Yeah.
So whilst I do want Napoli to win it overall, just after, the year after Maradona's death, the year that Insigne is leaving the club, it would be really nice if they won it. I think it's going to be really difficult. But having said that, in this game, I actually want an apology from the Coppa Italia, because I watched both semi-finals this week and they were dreadful. The 0-0 between Inter and Milan was terrible. Grace was away. I sauntered down to the living room. I got so excited, settled down in the sofa, ready for a great game. It was so dull. And then Juventus versus Fiorentina was marginally better last night, sealed by a Benuti own goal in the last minute. So Juve have the advantage in that one, but not a good game either. But anyway, Henry. Actually, I'm going to do my prediction first. What did you say?
2-1 to Napoli. Yeah.
I'm going to back Milan. I'm going to back Milan. I think it will turn back on for them. I thought they were slightly better than Inter on Tuesday, despite the fact it wasn't a great game, as I mentioned. I'm going to go 1-0 Milan. Just 1-0.
Ooh, okay. I'm with McCubs on this one. I'm doing a script about Juventus, and I was looking at sort of the years where Juve were just winning the league every year, and Napoli did push them close a couple of times. I think Roma once got to about 4 points away from them. Napoli did once as well, one season where they completely outscored everyone in Serie A. So they have just got so close so many times, and I agree with you, the momentum's back with them. I mean, there's a point where I thought they dropped off, but I would love to see them win the title. I watched that Inter game where they ended up drawing, and I thought they probably deserved to pinch that too. Just couldn't quite capitalise on those big moments. Rectified that against Lazio, and you went what, 2-1?
2-1, yeah.
I'll go for 2-0 just for a bit of difference. I really think they've got what it takes to beat a Milan side who missing Romagnoli and Kier at the centre half.
Defensively, they've been poor. Like the own goal they conceded against Thingy on the weekend was pretty bad. I thought.
There we go. I mean, 2-0 at the San Siro is an interesting prediction, but I really think, why not? Napoli 2-0.
Fair enough. The boys are backing Napoli. For our final one, we are talking Real Betis versus Atletico Madrid. This is on Sunday at 8 p.m. It's 5th versus 3rd, and there is 1 point between these guys as well. Absolutely nuts. There is also Real Madrid versus Real Sociedad this weekend, but the larger game, given that Real Madrid look, a shoe-in for the title, is definitely this one for the top 4 race. Henry, McCubs went first on the last one. What are you thinking about this one? The great entertainers of the season, Real Betis against an Atletico Madrid who have won 2 games in a row. Bizarrely.
It's difficult. It's a difficult one to call, this one. Like I said, I won't go on much more. I mean, I love Pellegrini. I think he's a brilliant coach. I think that's being...
wonderful style on the touchline as well this season as well.
Pure swagger, always. I watched a bit of the Grand Derby. I thought they were quite unlucky to lose that. The second goal, the goalie really should have saved it.
The Manir one.
The Manir goal, the goalie had to do better. And even the penalty, which En-Nesyri managed to draw, that just shouldn't have happened. So many sequence of errors. So just losing their minds a little bit.
The free kick at the end
was very nice, but just too little, too late on this front. But it's turning out to be. This is a huge season for Betis. Actually, I've included them in the script. 10 teams overperforming this campaign. They're riding high in the Europa League. It looks like they're going to get to the final of the Copa del Rey. I mean, it will have happened by now, but I'm pretty confident they're going to get the better of Rayo Vallecano, who are in absolute stinking
Is that
form.
this week?
It's tonight. So it'll be out.
Missed that.
Yeah, Raya in stinking form. So I think they're probably going to get to the final of the Copa del Rey, and it looks like they might be going on to get Champions League football this term. Betis are having a stormer this season, and for that reason, I'm going to say they're going to draw against Atletico Madrid. I think this is going to be a draw. I think Atletico are being quite stubborn at the moment. So yeah. I don't know if on Twitter, on Twitter, I don't know if anyone saw the Luis Suarez appealing. It was for Chile when
Chile versus Uruguay.
The Chile guy trips up a pitch invader and Suarez appeals for a card. That was just brilliant. I love that so much. But yeah, I'm going to go for 1-1 in this game, but I kind of want to back Betis really.
Okay, 1-1. McCabs, what are you thinking?
I'm actually thinking. I'm actually warming to Atleti. I just think. I feel like Simeone's maybe regained a bit of confidence in his ability to kind of just keep other teams out a bit after that Man United game. Which they
you saw them firsthand.
Yeah, I mean
we weren't there.
Yeah, but it was interesting to see them kind of revert back to that in the Champions League. I kind of expected it, but you can see that even with this group of players, which he's kind of struggled to really find the best system for. That for a big game he can still kind of pull it out of the bag, and against Celta Vigo on the weekend, who are they're no pushovers. They managed to do it as well. To be fair, it was kind of down to Lodi's finishing.
Yes,
two really good,
great areas.
Good, well taken goals. And how good has he been the last two games? All of a sudden, having been out in the cold. Was he the guy
that gave the cross for João Felix as well?
Goal
against United.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. But I mean, in general, I think he was just one of Atleti's best players, and it kind of reminded me of when they played Liverpool in that very famous Champions League tie a couple of years ago, and he was pretty much the best player, especially in the first leg of that tie. Him coming in for Carrasco really seemed to do the trick. Don't know whether he'll persist with him, but I just feel like, defensively they just look a lot better than they have done in general this season in the last 2-3 games. So I feel like Betis might struggle a little bit to break them down, and for that reason I'm going to go for a 1-0 Atleti victory.
1-0 Atleti. Yeah. What did you say, Henry?
1-1.
You said 1-1.
Go on, go Betis. Go Betis.
I just don't feel it in my bones. I just don't feel it in my bones. You've already taken the 1-1. And you said 1-0 Atleti.
Yeah.
I'll go 2-0. I'll go 2-1 Atleti. 2-1 Atleti. Guys, get your predictions for those 3 games and any other. Why don't you let us know about all your predictions for the European games this weekend in the comments down below. Let's quickly do one question. It comes in from Ben1207_. Who is the best fullback duo in world football? Can you really look aside from Trent and Robbo? Henry, do you have any other suggestions?
Because I went first, I've been sat here trying to rack my brains to think who else it could possibly be. Obviously Bayern.
I think there's a lot of good fullbacks, but duos is quite rare.
This obviously isn't the best, but I really like Southampton's back pairing of Perrault and Livramento at the moment. I think that's just...
Or Walker-Peters in the
Walker-Peters, I think they've got some... I just love Southampton at the moment. I think they're really solid team. So I like them. Obviously, I'm not putting that in the same category. It is hard to look past.
I thought you said Perrault was better than Andy Robertson. I thought that's what you said.
No.
Big hot take.
I'm
joking.
Well, why not? But Scotland are producing some unbelievable fullbacks at the moment. It has to be said.
The young Hickey,
Calvin Ramsey, at Aberdeen at the moment, Tierney, Robbo. So Scotland are producing the best fullbacks in the world. I'm going to say it.
Yeah. Okay, Denis. McCabs, have you got any other suggestions?
It's hard to look past them, isn't it?
Do you think you've slightly been poisoned by watching Wan-Bissaka all year with Dallo?
Maybe. I don't really know what a right back is anymore. They're only supposed to attack or defend, aren't they?
I'd say Reece James and Chilwell at full fitness are very good.
They were brilliant at the start of the season, weren't they?
For about 10
but
game
we just haven't seen them in so long. It's kind of... it's hard to kind of count them, but I think Hakimi and Nuno Mendes at PSG are outstanding. It's going to be really interesting to see how they both develop at the club. Aside from that, no one truly outstanding. I feel like I was seeing Milan were linked with a really good right back recently, and him and Teo Hernandez would be great. But aside from that, I Nothing's like.
Any idea who he is, or just?
No, I can't remember.
Mysterious?
The thing is, I look at I'll write like a transfer talk, and it's either might be Teo Hernandez going somewhere else actually. So I just that was
You
just
got
kind
the
of
Milan fans so excited.
I know,
You're getting
yeah.
right back. Oh no, you're probably losing your best player.
you might be losing him. I can't actually think what that was. So yeah, editor, feel free to cut that out because that was complete bollocks. But yeah, no, that's all I can think of really off the top of my head. I feel like we're missing like an outstanding
feels like there's a very
one.
obvious one. I think Alphonso Davies and Pavard are a good duo in, that Pavard sort of falls in that right back slot. I don't think he's the most exciting right back, but he has been better this year than last year, I would say. So Pavard maybe deserves a little bit of respect. Other than that, I think there's a lot of good individual fullbacks, but duos are quite difficult to find. We're finding it quite difficult, guys. Who are your suggestions outside of the Premier League? Because I think there's some very good duos in the Premier League at full fitness, as we've already talked about. We haven't even mentioned Cancelo and Walker. They'll probably be a great duo as well.
Yeah, they're quite good.
Yeah.
Pretty
decent, aren't they?
Although Walker hasn't been playing a lot recently. But anyway, let us know your best duos from around the world in the comments down below. And that's all we've got time for Continental Club for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed our discussion. What did we talk about? Most improved players, big match predictions, the usual sort of shebang. My Cubs, what should they go and watch now?
They should go and watch Explained. We did one on Eric Ten Hag on the weekend. There's some good Explained on FD as well, and there'll be a couple for your viewing pleasure coming up this weekend too. Go and check out last week's Continental Club, which had Santai on. Go and check out the Football Pyramid. I think I've run a stride.
You've covered it all. Yeah. Henry, anything from you? Shout out Bulgaria, maybe.
Oh yes. Why not?
End it how you began.
Yeah. Was it Levski Sofia?
Yeah.
No. Just thoughts with the Ukrainian people, in all honesty. That's what I can think of.
Absolutely. What a note to finish on. Thanks very much for watching, guys. We'll catch you next week. Goodbye.